Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make a little sunflower crochet spinner. This pattern's really quick and simple to make. It's super easy and really super fast actually. You can go as big or as small as you like. For today's video I'm just going to show you one with a chain of 40, so sort of a 20 to 30 centimetre long spinner. It's really easy to make, as I said already. All you're going to need is a dark brown yarn and like an orangey yellow or a mustard yellow for your petals, a 3mm crochet hook and a pair of scissors to snip your ends. Okay, so we'll get started now. To begin, we're going to make a chain of 40. You can do more or less if you prefer. I just find that this is a nice number for a video tutorial. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You start with a slip knot, obviously. If you aren't familiar with that, then if you have a look on my YouTube channel, there is a playlist called Crochet Basics, and in there are some nice slow tutorials of how to create a slip knot and a magic ring. Okay, so I've just done 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 30, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 40. Okay, so we've got our chain of 40. I'm going to chain 1 as well, and then we're going to begin a single crochet in each stitch from the second chain from the hook. I know that it's difficult to see these stitches because with the darker yarns it is hard to see, but you will see as you're working yourself. And also a little tip, if you do get a little bit confused about what stitch that you're in, if when you are working with it you pull your yarn up the stitch that you've just made, and you'll see that it pulls up the stitch underneath and it creates a big gap. So we've already worked into this one, so then you go into the next one and then again just pull that one up and you will see there's quite a big gap there, and that will show you that that's the one that you're working from. Okay, so complete your chain, so you've got a chain of 40 along, and I'll meet you at the end in a second. So now we've completed round 1, we have our 40 single crochets. That's in US terms. In UK terms that would be 40 double crochets. I'm going to explain the rest of the tutorial in US terms. So for round 2, what we're going to do is we are going to chain 2, and then we are going to turn our work so we're facing the back, and then what we're going to do is we are going to US double crochet into this first stitch here. So you yarn over once, insert your hook, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops again. Then for the rest of the stitches we are going to insert 2 double crochets. That's US terms, or treble crochets for UK terms, into each stitch. Okay, so that's 2 into each stitch all the way along until the end, and I will meet you back there once we've completed round 2. Right, so we've come to the end of round 2, and as you can see your spinner is now starting to curl. Don't worry if you have a look at your work and it's not quite a perfect spiral, because we will reshape that and I will show you how to create the nice even spiral at the end. Just to note as well, on the penultimate stitch I've just inserted into the penultimate stitch of the round 2. Now on the last stitch, what we're going to do, because we're going to be colour changing into our yellow for our petals, so in the final stitch we're going to work 1 double crochet and begin working 1 double crochet, yarn over once, pull through 2 loops once, then you've got the 2 loops left on your hook. Now we're going to change colour to yellow. Okay, so to do that you just pull up over your hook, pull through both loops as if it was your brown, yarn over, pull through, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, and that's ready to begin round 3 and our petals. So before we begin our petals, I just wanted to make a quick note that I've just trimmed the yarn from my brown because we're not going to be needing that one anymore, but you need to make sure that you leave yourself a really nice long tail because this is going to become your hanging loop. Okay, but we'll do that later on. So to create your petals, what you need to do, so you've chained 1 and you've turned your work. Now into that same stitch space there, I know it's difficult to see because it's a dark yarn, but into this same first one here, we're going to work 1 half double crochet. So yarn over and pull through those 3 loops. Then a double crochet, so this is all in the same stitch. Yarn over once, pull through 2, yarn over twice, pull through 2. We're going to chain 1. Then we're going to create a triple or a double treble in UK terms. So you yarn over twice, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops again. Then we're going to create another chain 1 and a double crochet, all in that same stitch still, and a half double crochet within that same stitch space, and finally we're going to finish with a slip stitch back into that space again, and that there has created your first petal. Okay, so now going forward what we're going to be doing is we're going to be skipping the next stitch, so skip 1 stitch, then slip stitch into the next one. So skip 1, slip stitch. Then again, I'm going to show you again how to do a petal. We're going to do 1 half double crochet, 1 double crochet, a chain 1. Okay, so far we've got our slip stitch into the previous petal, we've skipped 1 stitch, we've slip stitched into the next, and we've created 1 half double crochet and a double crochet, and we've chained 1. Now we're going to be creating our treble crochet, so yarn over twice, then chain 1 again, 1 double crochet and a half double crochet, followed by a slip stitch back into the same stitch space, skip over the next stitch and slip stitch into the next one. Okay, so we're going to continue doing that all the way along. I will show you again just a little bit faster this time. So we've slip stitched into our stitch there, half double crochet, followed by a double crochet, followed by a chain 1 and a treble, then the same on the opposite side, so a chain 1, a double crochet, followed by a half double crochet and a slip stitch to complete that petal, and skip over your next stitch and slip stitch into the one afterwards. Okay, so we're going to continue to do that in all the way along. We're going to repeat that same technique. So we begin, so we slip stitch into our last, as our last stitch into our previous petal, we skip over 1 stitch, we slip stitch into the next, into that same stitch space we then half double crochet once, double crochet once, we chain 1, then we triple crochet, chain 1, double crochet, half double crochet and a slip stitch back into that same stitch, skip 1, and slip stitch into the next to begin your next petal. Okay, so work that all the way down until you reach the end of what was the top of round 2, and I will meet you back here afterwards. So I've now completed the round 3, the round with our petals on. I've come to the end, and what I've done is I've pulled through my loop, I've trimmed my yarn, pulled up a loop, and I've tied a knot to itself to the tail from the brown. Then I've cut that really short, and I've finished that off by popping a lighter on the end to seal the end and to stop it fraying. Obviously, if you prefer, you can work your ends in and weave them in through the stitches. That's also works just as well. So you would have come to the end, and it may or may not look a little bit like this. I mean, don't worry, like I said, it doesn't matter. I will show you now how to shape your spinner. Okay, so what you do is you take the top, so the top with the piece with the long cord that you've left for hanging. So you get the top, and what you do is you manipulate your spinner into a shape. So you can see it's making a sunflower. So what we want to do is mirror that all the way down. So we take our petals and we meet them at the end so that they are matching, as if you're stacking them on top of each other. Okay, and the more neatly that you do this, the more evenly you do this, the more neat your overall finish will be from the spinner itself. You might need to flip it a few times, like I'm having to do here, and just go with it. Imagine like the slinky toys, the springs, when they used to get tangled, you used to have to unravel them like this to get them back again. So there we go. So it looks like we've got a stack of sunflowers all sat on top of each other, nice and even. Okay, then give them a nice push down. If you prefer, you can block them or you can starch them. I personally don't do anything like that other than add a touch of waterproofing spray. If you haven't already and you want to know how to do that, I do have a video on my channel showing you a really good, nice, cheap, easy way of doing that. Okay, so there we go. We have our spinner complete now, so it's nice and even, quite nice and symmetrical. As I said, for the purposes of the video, I've done a bit of a smaller one. If I was to do this for myself, I'd probably do one about 70 or 80 chains. Other people like to do much longer, so like 100 chains. So it's entirely up to you, depends what look you're going for. As I said earlier, I wanted to keep this tail nice and long, as I've found with the wind spinners that hanging them from a single cord, a single thread, they actually spin much faster and much more nicely, rather than having a thick I-cord doubled over. They just spin much more nicely. So all I have done with that is I've taken my tail end, and I've created a slip knot in the top there, and then all I've done is just trim the end shorter. So it's nice and simple, and you can adjust it to the size of the bracket or hook or whatever that you're attaching it to hang from. So that's the spinner done. Now we're going to move on to our little sunflower for hanging on the bottom. This one's super easy. We're just going to be working in the round, then we're going to add, it's just 2 rounds, and then we're going to add our petals at the end. And once we reach the end of our petals, we need to make sure we keep a long tail again for our hanging cord, and I will show you that in a moment. So now we're going to begin our sunflower. To do this, we're going to take our brown yarn and we're going to create a magic ring, or a magic circle, you may know it as. If you don't already know how to do these, if you pop onto my YouTube channel, there is a nice slow video tutorial for the magic ring on how to create this in an easy way. So that's our magic ring created. I'm then going to chain 2, and then what we're going to do is we're going to work all of our stitches into the center of our ring here, and we're going to create 12 double crochets. So that's US double crochets or UK trebles. So we're going to insert 12 of those into the center there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So that's 6. We need to insert another 6. Feel free to pull your tail if you need to tighten your loop up a little bit. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and our last one, 12. Now what you're going to do is pull on your magic ring tail to pull the circle closed. There we go. Then we are going to slip stitch into the top of our first double crochet here. Okay, I know it's difficult to see again with the darker yarn. So you've got our chain here, our chain of 2. Then we're going to slip stitch into the top V here. So find your first post, your first double crochet post, and we're going to slip stitch into the top there, okay, under the V's. So slip stitch, and that's your round 1 complete. Now round 2, we are going to chain another 2. So 1 and 2. We're going to double crochet into that same stitch. Double crochet in US terms, treble crochet in UK terms. Then we're going to work all the way around our 12 stitches, and we're going to insert 2 double crochets into each stitch. So we will end up on the end of the round, we will end up with 23 double crochets and our chain of 2 here. Okay, so if you continue to do that, I will meet you back at the end here where we will join with our slip stitch and then begin our colour change to create our petals. So now we've reached the end of round 2, and we've also reached the end of using our brown. What we're going to do is we're going to finish with a slip stitch back into the top of this first post here. So we're going to go this side this time, so we're working into the top of the chains. I'm going to go in under the V, and now we're going to change colour to our yellow for our petals. So you've got your 1 loop of brown, your hook inserted into the top of the chain 2, then you are going to pull up a loop of the yellow like we did with the main body, and then we are going to pull that yellow through the brown loop, because remember we're creating a slip stitch, not a single crochet. Okay, so that's that there. Then we're going to chain 1, and that's our yellow attached. Now we are going to start working back into the same space that we've just had our chain 1, and we are going to insert a half double crochet all into the same space, a double crochet, a chain 1. So it's the petals are the same as before, there's a slight difference though, so if you bear with me a second. So we've done our half double crochet, our double crochet, our chain 1, our treble, and our chain 1. Then we're going to double crochet again, followed by a half double crochet, and then a slip stitch back into that same space. Okay. Then we are going to skip 1 stitch. Again, just be careful with these because it can sort of hide underneath your last slip stitch there. So skip this next stitch, and then we're going to insert into this one here, into the one afterwards. And we're not going to slip stitch this time. Okay, so like we did with the main body of the spinner, we skipped a stitch and then we slip stitched into the next. We're not going to slip stitch on this one. We're just going to go straight in with a half double crochet. So skip 1 stitch, half double crochet in the next, then a double crochet, followed by a chain 1 and a treble crochet, all in that 1 stitch, chain 1, double crochet, half double crochet, and a slip stitch back into that same stitch space. Then again we're going to skip 1, make sure you stretch it out so you're not concealing a stitch, skip 1 stitch, and then straight into the second with your half double crochet. So half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1, treble crochet, chain 1, double, half double, and your slip stitch back into that space. Okay, so we're going to continue all the way around until we get to the end. You should have around, how many have we got on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Got 12 petals on here. So just to recap, what you do once you get to the last petal is you skip your stitch to stretch it out so you're not concealing this one here. Skip your stitch, half double crochet, double crochet, a chain of 1, a treble crochet, a chain of 1, a double crochet, half double crochet, and finish with a slip stitch. Skip 1 stitch and then straight in with another half double crochet. Okay, so repeat that all the way around until you get to the end, and I'll meet you back there in a second. So we come to the end of our petal round and we've got our 12 yellow petals. Now at the end you'll notice that there are 2 stitches left, but what we're going to do is we're going to skip over the next stitch as normal, and then we're going to slip stitch into that final one there, and then again we're going to slip stitch this time into this piece here. You see where the brown and the yellow, the color change from the beginning of the round, we're going to slip stitch into that space there. Don't worry about being too precise, and then that will just tie everything up. So now with this yellow piece of yarn, our tail, we're going to be creating our hanging loop from this. So pull up, make sure you give yourself plenty of yarn to work with, and trim your end. And then what we're going to do is going to turn our work to the back, and obviously earlier we've got our tails from our brown and our original tail from our yellow from when we began. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie both ends of our yellow tails together into a double knot, and then shortly what I will do when I'm finished is I will sew off and weave in these ends as normal. And also to add that while weaving, what I'll do is, because of the colour change there at the beginning, is I'll use these yarn tails to weave in and conceal that a little bit better so it looks a bit neater from the back there. Okay, and same again with the brown, tie them together and then weave their ends in. So we've done that with the yellow, so imagine they're all weaved in, and now we've got our hanging loop. Okay, so all we're going to do to attach that to the main body of our spinner is we're going to take our spinner and come to the bottom of it, turn it upside down. We're going to take our hook and going to insert it at the point sort of roughly where the yellow and the brown meet. We're going to insert it from the top to the bottom, so this is the bottom of the spinner. Then we're simply going to take our yellow loop, pull that back through that space that we've just come through. So now our yellow loop is threaded through our spinner, and then all I'm going to do is thread the sunflower through the loop and then create a little slip knot there, and now that is attached to the main body of your spinner, and that is your spinner complete. Take a look at my sneak peek video if you want to see it in action, but obviously you would have already made yours by now, so you can just look at your own. Thanks again for watching. If you did enjoy this video and you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I've got lots of Christmassy bits and other content coming up soon. Also pop a like on this video, that really helps keep us up there for others to like and share and view the tutorials too. Lovely. Right, so thank you again guys, and I will see you again very soon. Happy crocheting.